This is KFDM Sports Extra with Mike Friedman and Cam Sanderson.
Yeah, he is spot on once again. Voice guy nailed it. Hey, everyone, this is the KFDM Sports Extra podcast. I'm Mike Friedman along with Cam the Kid Sanderson. I'm going to keep saying that.
Yeah.
He's just a baby.
Whatever.
Anyway, all right. Thanks so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, news on KFDM, or anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts and things like that, we appreciate you watching. So, up to this point, we've been all high school football, high school athletics and high school football. And we will have our Week 4 top 6. A few things have changed for me. A few things changed for you.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in just a bit. But, one thing I do want to say, Cam, how about them Cardinals? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm not shocked. I'm
Yeah.
not shocked. This is exactly where I was hoping they would be at this point. And, I was very, very outwards about saying that this is a good chance for all of athletics for Lamar. This should be the peak in the history of the university for Lamar athletics. And really, it's already starting out, on a good look,
If you guys noticed, yesterday was their red day for Lamar University Athletics, a donation day for Lamar Athletics. They're back-to-back Commissioner Cup champions in the Southland Conference. Let's start off talking a little Lamar football. After losing that first game, Lamar, has bounced back two in a row, including over then 4th-ranked FCS team in South Dakota. So their latest win here against Texas Southern, Lamar dominated. Their special teams, especially with those 2 blocked punts that were returned for touchdowns. But you kind of look here a little bit at the box score here from their last game. They're on a bye week, by the way. Lamar football is on a bye week, so no game coming up this weekend. But Lamar University with a decent showing here. Total yards, 330 yards to 196 for TSU. One thing that stood out to me, that the one turnover was an interception thrown by Aiden McCown for Lamar University, but 4 for 40 yards penalties, 4 for 40 yards. So they're playing some pretty clean football.
Yeah, I mean, they looked good, and really the concern going into the game was, you don't have Robert Coleman in there. Aiden McCown's got to get his first start, but he looked pretty good. He looked like he needed to be. And, I mean, really, I don't think there should be any concern moving forward with that team. If they have to have Aiden McCown under center, I think they're going to be comfortable.
Yeah, certainly for Aiden McCown, 12 of 22 for 81 yards with that one INT. He did rush for his first collegiate touchdown in that game against Texas Southern. McCown, he didn't look great, but he didn't look too bad as well. And I know Robert Coleman will be out for a few weeks at least with that shoulder injury, so he might have to fight for his starting job back if Aiden McCown continues to grow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I think Aiden's, I believe, a sophomore this year, so hey, if the future turns towards him, you have a guy under center for a few years. I mean, I don't know. That's the transfer portal's crazy, but if you can have a guy you can build around, it'd be interesting. I mean, he'll be here for the start of conference play,
right?
And so that's really what's going to matter. This next home game, obviously, you want to win every game, but it's non-conference. If they lose, it's not the end of the world. But once you get into conference play, those are must-win games.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
Every single one is a must-win game. And so, especially if they want to make that playoff push they've been talking about.
And I know they do want to make a playoff push, and they talk about getting an at-large bid. The easiest way to get into an FCS postseason type play is win the conference. You get an automatic bid, just like basketball. When you win the SLC tournament, you get an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament.
That's like the only way in basketball.
Well, yeah, that's not the only way in. And Lamar football has hoped in years past that they'd get in. They just haven't. So first and foremost, win the Southland Conference. You're guaranteed to see some postseason football play. Lamar was picked preseason 4th in football in the Southland Conference. Something tells me Coach Ross isn't shooting for 4th at all.
Yeah, it's okay. They do. I noticed Southland Conference will rank Lamar football low every year. I don't think they'll finish 4th. I'm okay with saying my opinions on here. I think that Lamar is going to be a good football team. I think they compete for a championship, and I think that should be something all of Beaumont believes in this team. When you come and you upset a 4th-ranked team in the nation, you've set the standard. You said, hey, we're going to keep being great. And I think that can go even without Coleman in the game, and it showed with McCown last week. And I think that success continues. There's only really one team to be concerned about. Maybe SFA, they looked pretty good last week. I think they held a team to negative 38 yards.
Yeah.
But, Incarnate Word, that obviously is going to be a tough one. They've been winning the conference. But, man, Lamar, they just look, every year they look better and better, but this year they look special.
Every year they look better and better. And in the 2 years that Coach Ross has been there, this is his third season, they have had the best he's had the best 2-year start of any coach for Lamar football. And I can see that continuing. He's just going to continue on the rise.
It's a whole atmosphere change from where it was before he got there into what it is now. It's a winning team, and that is just so exciting because Southeast Texas loves football. I can tell you, as a Lamar student, the disappointment from leaving P&G to go to Lamar as a football fan, it's like, God, they got no football. And then Coach Rosamondo came around, and it's like, man, you got all athletics now. Everything has changed. I mean, it seems like it feels like in college sports, if you have a good football program, it's easier maybe to recruit. And I don't know how true that is, but I feel like I've watched all our sports continue to grow and grow with the growth of football. And it's so exciting watching this new era of Lamar athletics.
Yeah, it certainly is. We'll talk a little bit more about Lamar athletics. Remember, Lamar football has a bye this week, non-conference game at home the following Saturday. Then they start conference play the rest of the way. So we'll talk a little bit about some more athletics right after this. Stay close, everyone.
Southeast Texans are passionate about their hometown team. Fully loaded with more scores, more interviews, and more games.
Follow us on Facebook, Insta, X, and KFDM.com.
Get the most complete coverage of your favorite Friday night rivalries.
Classic Southeast Texas presents the Friday Night Tailgate Party. Brought to you by 5 Point Credit Union. Catch it every Friday after KFDM 6 News at 10.
Yeah, all right, we're back, and we're talking more Lamar athletics, and, the other fall sports are going on as well. Lamar Volleyball, home this weekend with their Lamar Invitational, and you can look at it right here. Lamar welcoming in a few teams. Let's go ahead and click on that and see exactly where Lamar will be or who they'll be hosting this week as we scroll down. Cardinals will take on two games coming up today, this afternoon, if you haven't gotten a chance to get out there, as Lamar will take on Texas Southern and Abilene Christian, Cal State Fullerton also in town. And so Lamar's got 2 games on Friday, 1 match on Saturday. And Lamar University Volleyball, Coach Ariel Apolinario, has kind of turned things around right there. I know it's a mouthful to say Coach's name. But, they've kind of gotten off to a slow start, but certainly they're not in conference play yet, and this is the time to kind of work out those kinks.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing we just said about football.
Yeah.
You can afford to lose conference, get non-conference games. That's the point of non-conference, is to build up your team and prepare. We see it in high school football. It's the point of non-district. All these preseason games almost. It's just to get you ready. Lamar was in the tournament last year, and that alone was awesome to hear. So the idea that they can continue to build on that, I expect it to continue to be great. Hopefully, hosting their own tournament turns out good for them. I'd love to see them go 3-0 this week, obviously.
Yeah, that sure would be nice.
So I wouldn't be concerned about a slow start in the non-conference team. It's kind of, what you're expecting if you're trying to build up your program ready for conference.
Absolutely. Lamar's other fall sport, women's soccer. And women's soccer opening up Southland Conference play last night. The Cards starting to click. We won't talk about last night's game, but a week ago, Lamar Soccer set a record with 11 goals. Lauren Smith was the Southland Conference Offensive Player of the Week. She had 4 of those 11 goals. She leads the conference in goals scored, shots taken, and assists. So she's having a great season. I think they're really starting to kind of click.
Yeah, and last year was just not the standard, and I know they know that. I know Coach knows that. It was honestly shocking, I think, for a lot of people. Obviously, you go into the season without Holly Massey, and that was the first time in probably a while. So they had Aurelie still, but just trying to build back to getting to that point where you're not, the expectation for sure is make the tournament, but get back to the expectation of winning the tournament, going to the national tournament. And I mean, obviously, a big win like that, where you're setting records, and you're trying to tell everybody, hey, we're still here, we can still be great, and I think they absolutely did that with that dominant performance.
Well, hopefully for Lamar Soccer, that was just the start, that was just the momentum they needed, and they can string some wins together, and hopefully the Cardinals go compete for the SLC regular season championship, get to that tournament, win that tournament as well, and go on to postseason play like we've seen them do before.
Oh, yeah, just 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. All right, we're going to switch gears. We will reveal our top 6 for week 4 of the high school football season. We're back to talking high school football right after this.
And now, the Sports Extra Countdown.
We're back again. You're watching the KFDM Sports Extra podcast. Appreciate it. You're either watching on YouTube or you're listening to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, we're going to talk a little high school football. And to do that, we're going to reveal our new top 6 for week 4. I'll let the kid go first. Cam, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start with my number 6, and it didn't change. It's going to stay Westbrook, and they did come off of a big win. They continue to look dominant. They're 3-0. They're going into a game against Silsbee. I mean, I don't know what I can say about Westbrook that I haven't said about every episode. We have talked about Westbrook every episode, and they've deserved being talked about every episode.
Right.
I mean, it's just a dominant team. It is the best Westbrook team we have seen in a minute. I believe it was 2020 they started pretty hot. I think it was maybe 6 straight wins to start the season. They hit the year before that. They went all the way to state. But really, since those 2 moments, the team hasn't been at that level. And now it's like, we finally got him back. Westbrook finally looks like that dominant football program.
I'll reveal my 6th place team. It's also the Westbrook Bruins, and I'll say be careful about that. It's just 3 games into the season, and yes, Westbrook is 3-0, but I'm not ready to say that they're going to make a run at state again.
Well, I'm not trying to imply that. But.
They do have talent there. Tam Anderson, Ditto. I'll just say we've talked about these guys before. So Westbrook does have the talent. So far, so good. They've got their biggest test coming up tonight, Friday, in week 4, and that's our tailgate game of the week. It's going to be 3-0 Silsbee and 3-0 Westbrook. Someone's O is going to go. We'll talk about those matchups here just in a little bit. But that's my 6th place team as well, Westbrook jumping in for the first time in my top 6. All right, my number 5, staying put, the Silsbee Tigers. I toyed with this. They could have moved up. The other teams above them didn't do anything to move down. That was really my reasoning. Silsbee could be anywhere from 5th to 3rd, maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
In my rankings. So Silsbee Tigers, they're 3-0. Those 2 teams will battle coming up in week 4 here tonight. So Silsbee and Westbrook should be good. But the Tigers, they've got a great guy back there behind center at quarterback. They've got the talent around there, and I do think that they're going to contend for the district title.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. I mean, Silsbee, you expect them to be great every year. And I mean, that win against Nederland, that was a statement. That was the thing, I think, going into last week, even though our game of the week was the Bayou Bowl. A lot of my focus was on who's going to win that battle, Silsbee's dominant offense or that Nederland, shutdown defense. Yeah. And Silsbee, I mean, they played good football, and so that a lot of credit to them. For me at 5, you mentioned a lot of guys didn't do anything to move down. Newton did not do anything to move down, except for just not be as good as the teams I had move up. And that's not a shot at them. They have been amazing, no doubt, no question about it. Newton football is just as good as it's always been. I expect them to continue to be great. I expect them to go into district and win every single game, and we'll talk about them, I'm sure. I don't think I have to worry about them until they get to maybe the 2nd or 3rd round of the playoffs, right? Yeah. So, I just have them moving down because of circumstances with other teams, which I think, let's just go ahead. I'm going to take that into my number 4 because I got Silsbee hitting my list for the first time. I mentioned that game was so important between Nederland and Silsbee last week, and I also mentioned that Nederland and Silsbee were 2 teams that were just out of my top 6,
Right.
And that win was going to decide for me which one of these guys moved up.
Okay.
And so I battled with it for a minute, and I will say it is. Orangefield losing in the Bayou Bowl maybe made the decision a little easier to move one of those teams up.
Move them down. Yeah.
Caleb
Let me ask
Johnson,
you: if Nederland had won the game, would Nederland be in your top 6?
Absolutely, no question.
Okay,
they would be 3-0 with a win against a dominant Silsbee offense. They would have a win against a state-ranked team. Who knows if they would have won the game? They probably would have held Silsbee to under 10.
Yeah,
So absolutely, Nederland would have been up here if they won.
Maybe.
Silsbee won. So Silsbee, Caleb Johnson continues to look fun. He's dynamic. And that's the thing. It's just that dynamic offense. But they still have the pieces on defense that gets you excited. Matson Morris, one of the best linebackers in the area.
Absolutely.
So there is a lot of excitement about Silsbee. Maybe I'm way late to the party. Maybe they should have been on my top 6 way earlier in the year. Believe me, I've heard the noise. People have said to me, you're hating on Silsbee or counting Silsbee out. I hope this makes up for that.
Yeah.
Right. But that's a statement. And I really think their battle against Westbrook, once again, I mean, that for me, they could have been 3. They were 3 for a minute. I switched it back.
Right.
But I agree with you. They can be anywhere from that 5-3 range.
Okay, very good. My fourth place team staying put once again, the Newton Eagles. Newton with that win in week 2 over Jefferson and then a 20-point win over Tatum last week in week 3. The Newton Eagles, other than that, stumble in the second half against West Orange Stark, really, because they were up by 12 at halftime over those Mustangs if they could have just held on. They stumbled in the second half against West Orange Stark, and from there they've looked great. They could just continue to find a way, do what they do, which is play good football, sound football on both sides of the ball. And so Newton ranked 4th for me. They can only go up from there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Great team. I mean, there's nothing bad to say about Newton. It's unfortunate that I had to move them down because it's like, realistically, I've said it. I'll continue to say it. Newton is one of my 2 teams that I'd put a lot of stock in making a state run. And so, it's just... it's just how other teams are playing.
All right, we're going to crack into our top 3, and coming in at number 3 for me, the Hampshire Finnett Longhorns. Hampshire Finnett 3-0 on the year against bigger schools. As a matter of fact, they've got wins over higher ranked teams coming off that win against some of the other higher ranked teams. Blake Broussard, Pierce Pirtle are certainly some talented guys. I think the Horns could go far. Remember, they are the defending 9-4A D2 champs until somebody does something about that. So I certainly see Hampshire Finnett as one of the best teams in our area.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. Actually, they're going to stay at number 3 for me, and it was a toss-up. At one point, you were with me.
Yeah.
I had Silsbee above Hampshire Finnett.
Yeah.
This was a last-second change. One of the things about Hampshire Finnett that almost had me move them down was that performance against Vider. If you look at the box score, you look at the final score, you have no question, like, what is he even talking about? They smoked them. They were down 21-7, and I understand Vider runs a very confusing offense. And so, I'm shooting it and I'm losing the guys.
Yeah.
So I completely understand it. But the fact of the matter is you're in the SEC of Texas high school football.
Right.
It's good to get those things out of the way in non-district because if they were down 21-7 against West Orange Stark or Silsbee, I don't know if you can come back. I think those are – it's once you're down 2 scores against those teams and you're letting them build the momentum – it's hard to get it back. You can't shoot yourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
And they did. They have that win against Hitchcock still, though. Right. They still look amazing. I genuinely think right now, if you ask me who the best player in Texas high school football is in our area, it's been Pierce Pirtle this season. I mean, the dude has been dominant on both sides of the ball. He is an absolute freak of nature. I don't know how the man's not tired at all times. I mean, he has got to be exhausted after those games. But, Hampshire Finnett still is great. And like you mentioned, they are still the reigning champs.
Right.
Someone still has to knock them off. Can Silsbee do it? I don't know. We'll see. It's the first district game for those guys.
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting. But I'm going to leave Hampshire Finnett at my number 3.
Okay.
I tell you what, I have a new team at number 2 because they fell from 1. And once again, it's one of those where it's like you didn't fall because you did bad.
Yeah.
You went down because the team below you did something amazing. And so Port Arthur goes down to 2. Is that bad for Port Arthur? I don't think so. And that shouldn't be taken as like a hit towards Port Arthur. What they've been doing is amazing. They've been dominant all year. There's no question about their success. I don't question their success. I don't question who they can be. I think they can win district. And I think they can go undefeated and win district. They really have looked like a great football team to start the year. I mean, the only team you would have to be concerned about for them is Lufkin, and then if Westbrook continues this role.
Right.
So I really think that I think that if they continue being great like they're going to be, how they've been, I'm not concerned about it. They did move down because my 2 moved up, but that's no hate against Port Arthur. They have continued to look great.
All right, well, look at my number 2. And my number 2 didn't change either because my number 1 didn't do anything to move down. My number 2 didn't really do anything unexpected to move up. So the P&G Indians come in at my number 2. Well, okay, they were on the road. It was their first test. They were underdogs. I get that. They dominated. They won. They did great. They're one of the best teams in the area, of course. But I just think pound for pound, talent for talent, my number 1 still wins out. All right, my number 1, the Titans. The Titans right there. I just think pound for pound, talent for talent, Monte Martin, the Brock and Tank King on defense, Alex Eugene running the ball last week.
Yeah,
he was one of your
amazing.
he was one of your top players of the week there. I just think talent-wise, Memorial's got the talent to be one of the best teams in our area, and for me, the best team.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And, I'm going to go ahead and reveal my number one, which
Okay.
is P&G. They were 2 last week. They're 1. A big win against LaPorte. No question in mind. LaPorte was ranked 5th in 5A D1 last week. Port Arthur was not ranked at all. P&G took care of them pretty comfortably. The thing about Port Neches is, and I know Port Neches and Port Arthur have played each other at the beginning of seasons, and Port Arthur has completely dismantled them. The thing about Port Neches, though, is you don't necessarily look at who are these superstars that I have on the team. When they won a state championship 2 years ago, I want you to name me 3 superstars that were on the team. You can't. And that's not a shot at the team. What's great about Port Neches is they have guys at every position that play great, and they showed that against LaPorte. So I agree with you. Port Arthur has a lot bigger names that can make bigger plays every week. But Port Neches really proved against LaPorte to me that they have a complete team, and that was my concern coming into it. When you graduate guys like Jackson Christian, Mason Winchell, you might not be able to have that complete team right off the bat. For them to get a non-district win against a team that was a possible state championship favorite in 5A D1.
Yeah. And LaPorte, by the way, is still state ranked in 5A D1.
And so it's a pretty good win, right?
Yeah,
it is. And I have to think, 2 years ago they were state champions.
Yeah.
3 years ago they made it to state. I mean, they still are that dominant P&G team as long as Jeff Joseph's there.
And one thing Coach Joseph does that I know he does at P&G is those players play their position well. They just do their job. All you have to do is get those guys to buy in, just do their job, do it as well as they can. That's where the success comes from.
I mean, that's what they've been doing.
Yeah,
They
that's
really
what they've
have.
been
And
doing.
I mean, it's hard to even look at them and think they can't make a state run every year. I think they can. And I think, like I mentioned, I have 2 teams that I think really I would put a lot of stock in. P&G's one of those. And I really think stock boost against the LaPorte win. So I don't necessarily agree with you. They didn't do enough to move up. I do think that they proved it to me. And I think I told you last week.
You're not surprised they're 3-0, are you? They're supposed to be.
They're supposed
You
to be
expected it.
They are supposed to be 3-0. Is Port Arthur supposed to be 3-0? I think so too.
Yeah.
But was P&G supposed to go into that win and dominate LaPorte? I mean, we can talk about 3-0. We have to talk about matchups. You know, I mean, I think at some point you have to be like, man, that's an impressive win. And so, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could say that about a lot of the teams on here. Are they supposed to be 3-0? I think, I would say yes. But that win against LaPorte did enough for me to move them up to 1.
You look at my top 6, and other than Newton, they're all 3-0.
Well, that's the same thing for both those. We got the same 6 teams on
exactly.
both sides. They're all 3-0. And if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, are these teams going to be 3-0? I probably would have said yes about most of them. You know? And so, I felt pretty comfortable in a lot of these teams being successful. But Port Neches, a LaPorte win. I don't know. I think could any of these other 5 teams beat LaPorte like P&G just did? Would they? I don't know. We'll never know. That's the beauty, right? We'll never know unless Port Arthur meets them in the playoffs. But, I'd say a big win like that, week 3 of the season. We talked earlier about Lamar Volleyball, how you're finding yourself in non-district, non-conference.
Exactly.
If you're finding yourself, like Port Neches needs to be doing right now, and they go and take down LaPorte, you got a quarterback like Connor Bailey who's lost 2 games in his career, and this is his 3rd year as a starter. I don't know. I could see a little Port Neches magic. Watch him go to AT&T again. It wouldn't blow me away.
It's too bad they're still in Region 2. Let me just say that.
I agree. That's definitely
way down the road.
That's a tough week 4 of the playoffs if they're there.
Realignment's coming up in February, and hopefully they get back into Region 3,
they
so they don't match up with South Oak Cliff in a regional final instead of a state tournament. But anyway, okay, no argument there. P&G deserving of everything that they're getting. Congratulations to them. They could easily be my top team. I have nothing bad to say about P&G. All right, we'll talk about week 4, get you ready for some of those big games coming up tonight right after this. Stay close, everyone.
Southeast Texans are passionate about their hometown team. Fully loaded with more scores, more interviews, and more games.
Follow us on Facebook, Insta, X, and KFDM.com.
Get the most complete coverage of your favorite Friday night rivalries.
Classic Southeast Texas presents the Friday Night Tailgate Party. Brought to you by 5 Point Credit Union. Catch it every Friday after KFDM 6 News at 10.
All right, we're back, and of course, we're looking forward to a great week 4 of the high school football season coming up tonight. Remember, the Friday night tailgate party starts after the late news at 10:35 p.m. on KFDM Channel 6. We will see you guys there. But let's talk about some of the big games we're looking forward to tonight. Let's start with our feature game, our week 4 feature game. Someone's O's going to go. 2-0 or 3-0 Silsbee at 3-0 West Orange Stark or Westbrook.
Come on.
I'll spit it out. Yeah, West Orange Starks on the road. Anyway, Westbrook, 3-0 Westbrook hosting 3-0 Silsbee. It's going to be a good game. You know, Silsbee kind of opened my eyes last week in what they did with Nederland. So I don't know if Westbrook's going to have as easy a time getting some points on the board. That's what I'd be concerned with.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that even last week before that game. I do think that these are two of our better teams. I mean, they're both in our top 6, right?
Right.
Sure. Clearly, I think they're two of our better teams. Genuinely, I will say Silsbee has seen some challenges. Nederland was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
LCM was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I do think LCM is still a good football team. I still think they can win their district. Once again, non-district does not. I hold no value to non-district.
Right.
I don't know if Westbrook has seen the challenges Silsbee has.
Okay.
This is going to be a statement for me for Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
And I fully believe Westbrook can get it done. I also think Silsbee can get it done. It's got to be probably my most excited game of the week that I've had this year. I mean, Newton West Orange Stark, that was a fun one going into it. But, oh, man, this one, 2-3-0 teams. Two teams that, honestly, maybe you wouldn't have thought were 3-0 before the season started.
Right.
Silsbee coming into a season without Mikey Mosher. They had to start at quarterback, the guy that was their second leading receiver. And hey, he's looked like a pretty good quarterback, right? JaCaleb's looked great.
Right.
Tam Anderson's looked great. I mean, that's two of our better quarterbacks in Southeast Texas matching up.
Going up. Yep.
We have guys on defense on both sides that look amazing. It is going to be, I think, an all-around great matchup. Last week with Silsbee, it was like, hey, how can your offense handle this defense? This week, it's like, how can your team handle this team? And I think you say the same thing with Westbrook. I don't know who's going to win.
Yeah.
I don't have a confident pick who's going to win. And I love going into a game like that because it's just so fun. They have a lot of talent on both sides. I mean, this is game of the week, but it could go down as game of the year.
Yeah, it could very well could. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Of course, that's coming up at Doggett Family Stadium. Kickoff at 7 p.m. coming up Friday night. We look forward to that one. We'll be out there live with the pregame preview, and of course, all of our off-the-field features will be out there as well. So we'll have a lot of fun with that one. Another game to look forward to coming up tonight. Beaumont United coming off a win. They'll be on the road at Jasper. United beat Jasper in this game last year here in Beaumont. Now they travel to Jasper coming up tonight to take on those Bulldogs. I think Beaumont United with Coach Drenard Williams is really buying in, and they're really starting to put the pieces together and figure out as a team that's how you win football games.
Yeah, and I mean, he's done a really good job. And we went and talked to those players the other day. A lot of them, their main thing was, we got guys that want it this year.
Yeah.
One of the players told me, it's like ever since he entered the building, everything changed. It appears that way. They're 2-1. They're looking to go 3-1 for the first time, I think, since 2020, 2019.
Yeah. Well, it would match their win total of all of last year. They won just 3 games all of last year. They won 2 in non-district play and then won their final district game of the season to get that 3rd win. So they went out on a win, but just 3 wins all of last year. They have a chance to match that just here in week 4.
Yeah, and I mean, they have looked good. There's no question about that. They got the win against Jasper last year. Jasper was up 10-0, and they, Beaumont now made the comeback. And so, it would be interesting. If they can start 3-1, that'd be interesting. For Jasper, you're 1-2, I believe.
Yeah.
I would be concerned about Jasper going into that district 1-3.
Right. One thing Coach Crumity said is he's young, and so that's what these non-district games are going to do. When we talked to him in the preseason here back in August, he said he's going to have to find some guys that are going to play at certain positions. So I think he's still figuring that out, or they're still figuring that out. But Jasper did get a win, so they're not 0-3. They're 1-2, and they're at home. I think that'll help a lot. They're in their own locker room. They're in their own facility. They've got their own fans there. I think that'll help give them a little advantage here as they're facing a bigger school, of course, in 5A Division I Beaumont United.
I think they had them last year. I mean, they really did. In Beaumont, it was 10-0. They looked good all around. United couldn't do anything. And then the second half comes around and they rallied and they came back.
Yeah.
Jasper's defense really was tearing them apart. And so if they can do the same thing this year, maybe being at home would help. Maybe, being there in the second half would help. I mean, I think a win for here, I think a win against Jasper, I think a win for Beaumont United is not as important as Jasper getting the win.
Right.
Jasper, I think, needs this a little bit more than Beaumont United does. I think it helps with momentum, but
I would agree with that.
But it is still, Jasper's a historically great team. They're top 5 in our area all the time, in my opinion. And so it should be a good one. I expect it to be a good one, too. I think it's great. Maybe if it was in Beaumont, it'd be our game of the week again this year. But, genuinely, that one could go either way as well. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. I have no opinion on it, but I don't know.
That's why they play the games. That's what makes it fun.
Right.
Yeah, certainly something to look forward to. All right, we'll move on down the list, and another game that grab your drink of water there. Another game that we like right there. Hampshire Finette. They're home. They're putting their 3-0 record on the line against Alameda Crawford. The powers that be at Dave Campbell Texas Football, managing editor Greg Tepper, picked Crawford to win that game on the road over Hampshire Finette. Does Crawford come in and steal one against the Longhorns?
I don't know. It's hard to weigh someone else's opinion on how a football team is going to do. I mean, it's like us. We can say whatever we want, but we don't know what's going to happen on Friday night.
Exactly.
I think Hampshire Finette's going to handle it. If they can make up from last week and just keep that momentum rolling, you still have that big win against Hitchcock. It's at home. Their only home game of the season was a win against a state-ranked team. If they can keep that momentum going, I'm not concerned about the Longhorns. I really, the concern for that team is when they get in the district play, and it's how the young guys handle that district. And so I think they'll be fine. I think we're talking about a 4-0 Hampshire Finette next week.
Yeah, you mentioned Hampshire Finette will start district against Silsbee. They'll end district against West Orange Stark.
Yeah.
So those are going to be some fun games to circle on your calendar right there.
That's a sandwich for
sure.
All
right, well, if you didn't realize, district play starts next week. We've got a lot of teams that are choosing this week 4 to take their bye week. And so P&G's off, Nederland's off, Vider's off, LCM's off, Lumberton's off, Bridge City's off, Hardin Jefferson's off. We've even got East Chambers off down in 3A. We've got a lot of teams that are off, but doesn't mean we don't have some big games. It gives us a chance to kind of look at some other teams.
Yeah, absolutely. We wouldn't necessarily get
to some of the smaller schools. One of them being another 3-0 team, the Kuntz Lions. Kuntz will be home against Beaumont, who's 0-3, looking for their first win of the year. Kuntz at home at 3-0. Do they get to 4-0?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, too.
I think so, too. And, I mean, that's no disrespect towards Beaumont. Obviously, Kuntz has looked pretty good this year. I mean, I'd say a 3-0 start is good for anybody. And so I don't see them losing at home. Beaumont is definitely still trying to find their footing, no question about that. And so I'd say it's a Kuntz win. I think we see a 4-0 Kuntz team. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that for them, that would certainly be
pretty
exciting
awesome
for them. Yeah, very good. All right, let's continue. We do have a team on the road. We'll jump back up to 5A as the Port Arthur Memorial Titans will be at Claiborne coming up Friday night. The Titans looking to get to 4-0 as well. They hit the road, though. They're taking on Claiborne. What do you see in that matchup? Memorial.
It's just like it's hard to pick against them. If you're in my top 6, I'm not going to pick against you ever, unless you have to go against another top 6 team. And Port Arthur is just they have the pieces, like you mentioned. They have the firepower. That makes them so great. And I mean, Alex Eugene, Amante Martin, that duo right there is terrifying. Like I mean, easily just one of the scariest duos in Southeast Texas. And then you got another scary duo on the defensive side with Brock and Tank King, and it's, I mean, really. I don't know how you beat Port Arthur unless you're like 3 rounds deep in the playoffs, and you're one of those teams that have been hot all year. And so, no, I'm not worried about them losing.
You've got to throw something at them that they haven't seen. And I don't know if we don't really know Claiborne, but I don't know if they're going to do anything that's going to really surprise Port Arthur Memorial. Another team that's on the road, West Orange Stark, as they're taking on Bel Air Episcopal.
Yeah, I can't say that one. I have struggled on that one every tailgate. We got to stop playing those teams.
Episcopal. West Orange Stark against Bel Air Episcopal. The Mustangs. What do you like about them?
I mean, honestly, it's once again, we don't really know these teams that aren't from our area that well.
Yeah.
And so my mentality coming into this one is, look, dude, you've lost 2 straight. you're 1-2, and West Orange Stark is not supposed to be 1-2.
Right.
And so, and really, like we mentioned earlier, they're a good second half from Newton away from being 0-3 right now. I mean, and so they need this win. It's not coming into it. It's like, can they get it? It's you have to get it. Like at some point, you have to get that morale booster because a 1-3 start is terrifying.
Yeah.
And I said you don't weigh non-district that heavy, but you do have to weigh momentum, and you do have to weigh your mentality. And I don't know how. And I don't know. I'm not a football coach. I've never played football. If you didn't know, I was in the marching band in high school. So, my opinions on what a football team's mentality is going into games probably mean nothing. I have to imagine it's hard to build morale when you're 1-3. And so I think this is a morale win. They have to get it. And if they don't, I'm a little worried about how the rest of the season goes for West Orange.
I would agree with you. And of course, West Orange, along with Silsbee, Hampshire Fannett, those guys are in District 9 4A Division, Jasper as well, 9 4A Division 2, and so they've got a smaller district, and so they have an extra week before they'll start district. While a lot of our bigger schools and the 10 4A Division 1 teams, Vider and LCM and Bridge City, they all start district in week 5. West Orange Stark, Silsbee, those guys have still a non-district game to go. So if West Orange Stark's still trying to figure it out, now is the time to do it, because we mentioned their district is like an SEC of Southeast Texas.
It's killer.
It's a killer district week in and week out every night. So they better be ready for that first game against Silsbee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very good. All right, that's the KFDM Sports Extra podcast. That's a look at week 4 of the high school football season, and we talked a little Lamar athletics as well. Thanks so much for tuning in and for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, and News on KFDM is our YouTube page. We'll be back next week to talk some more. Thanks. Good night, everyone.
Thanks for watching the KFDM Sports Extra with Mike Friedman and Cam Sanderson.